My name is Stacey, and I believe I am a daughter of the community, and that makes me untouchable. Stacey Anyango, 26. I work for a startup called Soccer Watch. I serve as the Operations Excellence Associate for Kenya. Growing up, our life we're not from a well-off family. We're just people we're normal. You know, I grew up in Umoja. We lived in a 3-roomed house which had like 15 people in it. Of course, the normal challenges sometimes there's a time, I think for like 2-3 months, we had ugali and skuma consistently. Of course, our parents and my mom really tried to shield us from all of that. We never really felt like we lacked. You know, she ensured that we were happy. You know, we were happy children, even when we didn't have that much. It was really tough at some point. We were robbed. There's a gang that existed, I can't remember the name. Came in, robbed us of almost everything we had. By then, my mom had traveled to the countryside. We've been locked out of the house, but that didn't feel like it was something major. At 6-7 years, for me, playing outside at 8 p.m. was like the thing. So we're locked out, yes, but I still had ways to make it fun. My mother is the disciplinarian of the house. And I am was a very naughty kid. So of course I was disciplined a lot. Snuck out of school, stole things. I used to leave my house at 6 a.m. as if I'm going back to work, come back at 8 p.m. Dusty, I had dust even on my eyelids. So yeah, and at that time it was very risky because a lot of kidnapping cases was happening around the area. So that was. My mom ensured that we all stayed in school. And even though she ensured that we were all educated, she was also the very first school we had at home. She ensured that we speak 3 languages fluently. So how she would do it is every day there's a specific language you would speak in the house. If, say, for example, that day we're speaking the Luo, even if you spoke to her in Swahili, she would ignore you. Personal struggles would probably be getting to know what I want much later. Because when we graduated, we were confused. By we, I mean my cousin. So when we graduated, they kept on asking us, oh, what are you guys going to do in campus? We'd be like, oh, we'll be physical education teachers. And then my auntie would get really annoyed. We're like, we have a plot around here. We can just plant onions and sell. So we did not know those things irritated her and my mom. So one time, my aunt called us for a sleepover. We cooked, cleaned, and then she had this really big book with like university and courses. She said none of us was going to sleep until we settled on a course. That is how I ended up doing hospitality management. Also because I like to cook, but somewhere along the line you realize it is not your passion. I got to realize that in my 3rd year or 4th year, to a point where during my graduation I was very disconnected. I slept like the whole time. The only thing I remember is the performance. There's a musician who performed and that is it. After that it's just like lots of figuring out because I already know the problem. I know this is not where I want to be. Of course, there's a little confusion because it kind of felt like everyone else around me knew what they wanted, and their lives were just moving on, and then I was there. So there's this one time there was a career fair, can't remember. That's how I got my first job. It was as an assistant property manager. Did that for a while, and then I quit. And then I went back home. So I stayed at home, just read a couple of things. That's when I taught myself screenwriting. Started writing stories, and I think during that time I was given the most useless advice but also very helpful, just start, and it came from my sister. Of course, now that I knew I wanted to write stories or tell stories, considering I come from a very humble background, there's absolutely no way my parents would take me back to school for another 3-4 years. Still not gonna work. So financial resources was a major challenge. My calling in life is to serve people, and I do that in whatever capacity I can get. When I hear that whatever it is that I am doing or whatever it is we're doing actually impacts someone else's life, that just makes me sleep better at night. On a completely different capacity, I volunteer. So there's this small CBO we formed. It's called Her Flow, My Concern. So we champion for the menstrual health of underprivileged girls in different communities. We've had outreaches in Kibera slums, we've gone up to Narok, we've gone to children's homes around Nairobi and beyond. So just talking to the girls, give them sanitary towels, and to a point where they wouldn't know how to use this, and we have to teach them. Or they're not even open to talking about that, especially in regions like Narok. They're like, oh, we don't do this, we can't talk about this in public, because they think it's shameful. So that's my purpose is to serve. Normally when we think of change, we think change is enacted by the big people, right? Someone who holds some sort of power. This CBO was started by a South Sudanese girl. She's still in school. She was in second or third year when I met her. So she's cool with my younger sister. And then I saw her work and I was like, okay, I want to help. So before I just like sent some money to her or donate sanitary towels to her. And then she was like, we need you to help us steer this. So I got onto Haflo My Concern as the project director. So we look for places, do the budget, talk to the people responsible, and then we have the outreaches. So because I saw how much change was impacted by just one tiny person and her passion and a bunch of friends, I was like, this is part of the team I want to be a part of. Honesty and integrity. I also believe in the power of collaboration, because I don't think there's anyone who just can sit back and say, I did this by myself. There's a power in collaboration. I also believe in humanity, because I think even though things might get a little crazy here and there, there's still good people in there that deserve to be seen and heard. In the next 5 years, first of all, I want to be happy. It doesn't matter where I am. I have to be happy and at peace. Being close or just being surrounded with the people that matter and me doing things that I'm really crazy about. Those things it's like those things that they give you a reason to wake up every morning, you know. Or sometimes you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I can't do this, which is fine. We all have one of those days. But just things that I'm excited to work on or just push forward. I don't want to be restless at any single point. I'm an overthinker by default. So when I'm restless about something, I overthink it and I build really crazy scenarios around it. And that just messes with who I am, and I don't want that. I want to leave a film production company behind that tells African stories, because I am powered by people, and some of the things that I write could be my experiences or someone else's experiences who's super close to me, or it's just an experience I've had that, you know, from a conversation with someone. I want to tell those kinds of stories that people can resonate with. I also want to make sure that the CBO that we serve is bigger and better, and that it keeps on helping other girls who are in the same predicament. So if it gets to a point where we can have mentors, and these mentors take the girls that we've impacted, and then these girls just keep on giving back, that would be something I would really be happy to leave behind.